Black Scout Survival Late Night Live. It's September 11th. And, obviously 22 years ago. And then also, let's not forget about Benghazi. And anyway, it has a lot of different meanings for a lot of different people. And, you may have lost someone. You may have decided to join the military because of it. I'd already been in the Marine Corps for a few years. Whenever it happened, I was actually on paternity leave for my son, and who's now a sergeant in the Army. But what does it mean for Democrats? It means taking a chance to talk about January 6th and making it seem like it's the same thing. Let's hear Kamala Harris. And this is like the second time we've seen her since 2020, but let's hear what she had to say.
Only a place on our calendars, but a place in our collective memory. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th, 2021. Not only a...
So she's trying to, say January 6th was as bad as September 11th or Pearl Harbor. They're wild. They're wild. Anyways, you guys see this. Scientists grow, this is just from a few days ago. Scientists grow a whole model human embryo without sperm or egg for the first time. Well, if you grow it, that means it's not human then. These guys are trying to play God. We talked about New Mexico the other day with the governor there, basically putting a 30-day ban on open carry and concealed carry. And obviously that's unconstitutional. She's got a lot of backlash, people calling for her impeachment. And the local law enforcement said they would not enforce it. Well, it's good on these citizens today. They actually showed up there, many of them visibly armed. They rolled into Albuquerque today to openly defy the New Mexico governor's executive order banning open and concealed carry firearms. Police did not intervene or enforce the order. So great for those patriots standing up. And, when you get a group together, that's what happens. So Elon Musk, let's talk about him for a moment. Apparently he stopped World War III from happening. Elon got a mercy request from NATO to mobilize Starlink to conduct a Pearl Harbor-like attack on Russia's fleet in the Black Sea. And then he talked to the Russian military, who said it would lead 100% to a nuclear response. Then he sided with Russia. So he tweeted it or posted it on X, whatever they call it now. He said there was an emergency request from the government authorities to activate Starlink all the way to Sevastopol. The obvious intent being to sink most of the Russian fleet at anchor. If I had agreed the request, and space would be explicitly complicit in a major act of war and escalation. So yeah, he pretty much stopped World War III. Speaking of World War III, let's talk about the main topic of tonight. China advances EMP weapons, military analyst report reveals. This was actually a post from the Washington Times. And this is very understated. Nobody's talking about it. Literally, I hadn't heard anybody. These are the only people talking about it. But what so anything like this that has zero coverage is probably China Joe, the Biden admin, pretending to be, they're being paid or pretending that we aren't in a Cold War with China when we definitely are. We could go down the list. Let's not forget the thousands of acres of farmland they bought up. Maybe the thing they unleashed on the world a few years ago. They've got spies in our military and spies working and sleeping with politicians, U.S. politicians. They've got multiple secret biolabs that we've uncovered in the USA, and there's probably plenty more that we don't know about. They've sent balloons over the U.S. They shot lasers over Hawaii. Only a few months later, Hawaii to catch on fire. So, there's so much more we could talk about. The malware viruses they put on the military and civilian infrastructure. But this report, Chinese military researchers have made significant advances in developing and testing strategic electromagnetic pulse or EMP weapons that can disable electronics on U.S. warplanes and even entire military bases. This is a report by 3 open source intelligence analysts. The electronic controls for the U.S. critical infrastructure, including the electric grid, could also be vulnerable to Chinese EMP arms, resulting in catastrophic losses. So, again, why are we not hearing about this? Our government right now is like pretending that an EMP isn't a possibility. Whenever we've seen multiple reports since I think maybe 2018, even the CIA coming forward, going public, saying this was a real potential threat and that the Chinese Communist Party was developing weapons for this very thing. So if we're not prepared for it, what do you think is going to happen? This is ultimately probably what they're going to use. We talked about this a few weeks ago about them unleashing viruses as well on both sides, bio as well as malware computer viruses. And this is also a potential threat. We know this is their capabilities and what they're wanting to do. And there's even much more than this, but this is just what we're going to talk about tonight. And all this is really pendulum on Taiwan, right? And so, again, they have malware on military and civilian infrastructure. The U.S. government has even came out and admitted it, and they can't get it off. So an electromagnetic pulse, if you don't know, is a radiating energy. It was first discovered in nuclear detonations. The pulses can destroy and damage electronic systems over wide areas. I'll pop this up for you real quick. High altitude EMP detonation. Now, I want you to think about this high altitude. What is that? Why is that significant? We're going to talk about it in a minute. You probably already know. But you see the wide range of coverage from this detonation there. So the report also reveals China's development of a mobile suitcase size direct energy weapon. A suitcase size. This report also states that they have a device that's a high-powered magnetic pulse compressor that generates strong EMP pulses that can damage even the most sensitive of electronics. So a lot of our military equipment has this type of technology on it, these sensitive electronics, right? Like, and this isn't a theory. This isn't something that we made up. This actually exists, and they have photos of this equipment. The weaponized EMP machine, like the compressor, the one they developed, could disable electronic equipment, neutralize defense systems, and cripple communications. We saw what happened when the communications was crippled in Russia. They literally had a convoy lined up for, miles and miles of the troops. Not you cut the head off a snake. What can they do? So the other thing is you're talking about our military fighter jets, our missile defense systems. We would literally be sitting ducks. And again, back to this photo here, this diagram. Remember the spy balloon? Yeah, I saw that thing fly over my state. And the funny thing is that lots of people had been saying that spy balloon was actually an EMP balloon to test out its capability. And so this report, guess what it says? China could use a fleet of spy balloons to conduct strategic EMP attacks against the United States, severely compromising the nation's critical infrastructure and defense readiness. The electronic denial system can be deployed to disrupt military system by jamming and disabling critical communications using coordinating with allies, and also take down electronic surveillance and security systems at military bases. Listen to this. Prior to commando operations. Who do you think those buses of Chinese fighting age males that were busing on the Biden buses up here? Probably Chinese commandos. I mean, we're talking about troops. They're talking about troops, like conducting a commando operation after they've disabled everything. Red Dawn style. again, this is not something that's a theory. This isn't something made up. This is legitimate report that literally no one's taken seriously. So let's also not forget this was to destroy civilian infrastructure. So we're talking about comms, no comms, zero comms, food processing, hospitals, your vehicles, your optics on your rifle, literally everything. It would burn it up. So this is something extremely serious, underreported, and you notice, I mean, let's look back. Everything underreported there is there for a reason. And when you try to Google search it, nothing can be found at this time. Right? This report, you can read about it on the Washington Times here. It goes into a full list of all these things and much more than what I've talked about. So someone said you can use iron sights. Absolutely. I would say you definitely need that. And a lot of people ask me about like how much ammo do you need? I mean, some people are like, I got 1,000 rounds. 1,000 rounds ain't gonna get you through a week. You know, I mean, depending on the situation, you need like 5,000. I mean, a ton. The problem is moving it. And that's why I did a video about caches the other week. You may have to cache it in other locations, right? You may, a lot of people say, well, I'm not going to bug out. You might have to, depending on the situation. That's why we say PACE planning, primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. It's a military acronym we use to develop planning for operations. So primary, alternate, contingency, and emergency. So develop plans based off that. You may say, I'm not going to bug out. You may have to. There may not be an option, right? Depending on the circumstance. Not everything is like the movies. Understand that. But also, I guess the biggest thing is what you can do right now. And what I would suggest is obviously have a way to defend yourself and keep those things protected. You got night vision, right? It's going to get fried if you don't have it in a Faraday bag, right? Two is one, none is, what is it? Two is one is none. So if you can have multiple things, that's great. Have some in Faraday, but if not, you need a Faraday bag. And definitely, I'll put the link below on this one. I definitely recommend these guys. Go Dark Faraday. Now this is what I like about these. You see these bags here, these dry bags. So a lot of bags are small zipper type, but I can pack a ton of stuff in the dry bag, right? Because I don't really want compartments. And a lot of people, they get these compartmentalized bags. I just want a big sack that I can throw a bunch of gear in to keep it in. Okay. And this is something that you need to keep your stuff in all the time, right? You need to keep your stuff in there all the time. So, and obviously, you may have to go on foot. I wouldn't go on foot. What I would do is I'd get a mountain bike, and I'm going to talk about that in here soon. But yeah, so check out this website. I'll put the link below. But also, these things are good to have. I keep them. I keep one in my bag, my EDC bag, in case I need to throw my phone in there. Because the thing is, you can cut your phone off. It can still record. Edward Snowden told us that after the Patriot Act, talking about 9/11. That's what they use to get to where that basically they can spy on us all the time. We're still taking our shoes off at the airport and our belts off at the airport, 22 years later. I think they're supposed to stop belts, but they make me take mine off every time I went, even up to the recent. But the thing is, they can track you, listen to you, use the video even with the phones off. So if you want to put your phone in the Faraday bag, so that way, nobody's listening to you. Okay. And these are just some good things to practice. And I definitely recommend it, as well as putting all your optics. And I saw one guy say, well, it may not hurt you. I won't take a chance. You don't want to be in the apocalypse and none of your gear works. I mean, I'd rather be wrong in my gear work anyway than be wrong and my gear don't work. You feel me? Appreciate it, HE, buddy. Yeah, that's the one thing I think. He's talking about mass unrest. I think that would be part of the plan. I've talked about this quite a bit, pretty extensively. Is that my idea is that they would cause disruption here. That's why the video I talked about the other day about the propaganda campaigns that they're running. They're trying to cause division. And then if you have a complete EMP, where you can't get food, you're going to lead to mass civil unrest, and people are going to basically fight each other. So that way you won't even need to send troops here yet. But then you send the commando units to go take out critical military bases, infrastructure, those sort of things. And I'm not even saying they're going to go get in firefights. They just go over there and set some explosives on other pieces that could be used. And I mean, these are theories now. This is theories. But anything's possible. So whenever things like this happen, things like this occur, and you have a bunch of variables, what do? You worry about what you can control yourself. Okay, what do you have in your control? I can't control the EMP. I can't control the military bases. I can't control Joe Biden's administration. But what can I control? I control my space, right? My defense capabilities, and ensuring my equipment. And listen, this is the thing. Equipment is just to supplement skill set. However, when you got equipment that other people don't, obviously that's going to put you higher in the food chain, right? Skill set means a lot. A guy with a bunch of skill set can defeat a guy with a bunch of gear, no question. But you want to level the playing field. So you want your gear to be working, right? Anyhow, guys, I think that, again, the government is not taking this seriously. From the reports I've read, I mean, the reports say they're not taking this seriously. Like, there's people going to Congress and saying that we need to take preparations against this, because even the Chinese have been developing a plan to protect themselves against EMP. Apparently, we've not even started. What I read is that Trump wanted to, but anything that Trump pushed got shut down. Just like he was retrofitting our nukes that hadn't been done, right? So they're not taking it seriously. They're too busy trying to indict Trump. They're trying to, teach our military pronouns and these sort of things, instead of worried about defending the country. Again, so these are variables that we can't control, but what can you control? Anyhow, guys, I want to know your thoughts on this. Thank you so much for hanging out with me tonight, and leave a comment, like, share, all that sort of good stuff. And as always, stay frosty, strapped, stay dangerous. Take care.